Hello and welcome to Super Rugby Aotearoa Round 10 and Super Rugby AU Round 7 here, here on New Zealand Sports Radio. Hi, I'm Paul, and I'll be talking you through all of the games that are coming up. The big news, though, obviously, is over here in New Zealand and our COVID levels. So, because COVID level 3 will be remaining in Auckland, it's been announced now for the next 12 days, and the rest of the country will be on COVID level 2. That means that the game between the Blues and the Crusaders that was scheduled for 3:30 on Sunday has now been cancelled. So that game is often apparently is being resulted as a draw as far as the table goes. That does mean we do have one game, though, still to go in Super Rugby Aotearoa, which will be the Highlanders versus the Hurricanes. Now, under COVID level 2, the rules are that you have to fly in and fly out on the same day. So there has been a time change, folks, and that game will go ahead at 3 p.m. on Saturday in New Zealand time, rather than the 7 p.m. As was previously quoted. So yes, that's the scheduling changes for this weekend. The other two games that are happening in Super Rugby AU are as scheduled. So we have the Force versus the Tars at 9 p.m. New Zealand time here on Friday night. So pretty much straight after or soon after this show. And then on Saturday at 9:15, we have the Reds versus the Rebels, which is, let's be honest, the game, the game, probably the game of the weekend, as it is the two, who is the real contender versus the Brumbies. Hello, everyone who has joined me in the live chat. We preview the Super Rugby games at 8 p.m. every single Friday. So thank you, everyone who is joining us in the live chat. Also, you can listen to us on the go. If you prefer, you can check out the podcast. Just go to, we're live on Facebook every evening at 8 p.m. For the podcast, so go to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those other podcatchers, and just search for New Zealand Sports Radio. And as Alex says in the live chat, he was really looking forward to the Blues versus the Crusaders. Yes, it was the final that wasn't the final, and unfortunately, we are going to miss out on it. Obviously, health matters are much more important than a single game of rugby. But yes, it is very disappointing from a sporting point of view. But you'll remember, folks, that Eden Park is currently being used as a COVID testing station. So having a game and having people turn up near that would not be perhaps the most, would not have been a sensible thing to do. It's a shame that this has had the timing of all of this, obviously. So let's kick on then, and let's have a look at the games over the first game that we have this evening, which is kicking off at 9 o'clock. We're at the Western Force versus the Waratahs. Now, for the Force, the big news is that their skipper is back. That's right. They've got the scrum half, Ian Pryor, is back, and he is a big and important player for them. With him and then Nick Frisby coming off the bench, that means they're not going to have that big drop-off that we have seen between those that we have seen when they have to go to the bench on that one. So that's a good change for them, and we'll be good for them. But let's be honest, the Force have lost all of their games so far, so it's tough to see how they're going to go against the Waratahs. The big question around the Waratahs, though, is can they back up their really good performance last weekend? It really was good to get that win over the Reds last weekend. It was a dominant performance. They've got their skipper coming back. That is Rob Simmons, who comes back into the row and will be partnering Tom Stanleyforth in the engine room there in the 4 and 5 jerseys. That sees Ned Hannigan, who, let's be honest, a lot of us see as being more of a 6 than a lock, move onto the bench, which I think is a good move. Well, that strengthens the Tars pack. Apart from that, a pretty similar kind of lineup that we've seen from the Tars. Will Harrison still running things. He is, let's be honest, the most important player for that team, more important than Rob Simmons or even Michael Hooper, and the more experienced sort of Carmichael Hunt outside of him, etc. So look, it's all he is the man that runs the show for the Waratahs. I personally am expecting them to back up that performance against that they had against the Reds. I'm backing the Waratahs by 10 in that one. So yes, I think they can they can do the work. Remember, the Force are not at home. This game is still in Sydney or New South Wales, and the Force have now had to be away from home for all 7 rounds. So look, they've been away from home for a long time. This isn't really a home game per se, even though it counts as a home game for them, and so that's what we're looking for here. But it is that the big question is that consistency for the Waratahs, as Alex does say, and I'm backing them to be able to put it up against, again, the Western Force, not the hardest opposition in this competition for them to back it up against. So you'd expect them to be able to do that. The big thing there is going to be complacency. Can they? Which it sounds like a crazy thing for the Tars, but yeah, they've got to see that come back. So that's the game. That's the only game this evening on Friday evening. Moving then on to Saturday, where we have the Highlanders versus the Hurricanes. Now, this over on Twitter, Dewey Priest has pointed out that this he believes this is the longest ever winning streak for the Hurricanes. Now, he believes that 5 games on the trot is their longest winning streak. They've done this twice before, back in 2017, 2018, and then back in 2015 as well. The Crusaders were the side that stopped both of those winning streaks at 5. So this is the longest ever one, but already, well, this is equal longest, and this could become the Hurricanes' longest ever winning streak. Just whilst we're here, might as well give you the other stats he had on there. The Blues' longest winning streak is 13 games, which was back in 96 to 98. Again, broken by the Crusaders. The Crusaders' longest winning streak is 12 games back in 2018 to 2019. The Chiefs stopped that one. The Chiefs' longest winning streak, this is in Kiwi derbies, longest winning streak in Kiwi derbies was 7 games from 2012 to 2013. The Crusaders stopped that. And the Highlanders' longest winning streak in Kiwi derbies is 4 games back in 2012. So this is the longest winning streak in Kiwi derbies, for the Hurricanes. So yes, so that's and this is a key game for a lot of players. You've got over in over for the Highlanders, it's the 100th game for the 100th game for Ash Dixon, and a Super Rugby game, and the 150th game for is it Super Rugby or for the Highlanders? Because we've got to obviously include the British Irish Lions games. 150th game for the Highlanders for Aaron Smith. So those 2 players are co-captaining this weekend, and obviously there'll be some sort of ceremonies around them for their milestone. So congratulations to them. Otherwise, this is looking like a pretty settled side for the Highlanders. I guess with Nariki and Josh Mackay on the wings, and Tonkinson and Collins there in the centres, and Mitch Hunt out at the back with Josh Iwani pairing up with Aaron Smith in the halves. Up front, you've got Johnson, Dixon, Tukalahi on the front row with Parry Parkinson and Jack Wetton in the engine room, and Hunt, Macaulay, Tu'u, and Shannon Frizzell. Shannon Frizzell's in the 6th jersey there in the Lucy. So yeah, so settled side for the Highlanders from that point of view. And they've only had, the only person missing from injury is Nathan Vaela, who's missing through a concussion. So they've got, so it's good to see they're finishing the season with pretty much a full squad. Obviously had all those season-ending injuries as well, which means that we're going to see Fakataba on the bench yet again because of Kane Harrington's injury. They're a really exciting young player coming through. On to the Hurricanes then, and Dane Coles is coming up the milestone. This will be his 119th game, which means that he becomes the most capped forward, getting ahead of Jeff Tumanga Allen, who is on 118. Sorry about that pronunciation there. Be sure I'll come back to that one in the live chat there. Again, another a pretty subtle side up front with Maycoles, Lomax, Blackwell, Scrafton, Princip, Karifi, and Ardi Surveyor there. But TG Perinara, with his wife about to give birth to their first child, so hopefully mother and child are all good there. TJ, we wish them all the best. I wish you and them all the best. It sees Jamie Booth start for the Hurricanes. Up until now, TJ Perinara has played every single minute. So we see Jamie Booth stepping up to the number 9 jersey. Jackson Garden Bishop again in the 10 jersey. Now, Peter Amang Jensen moves in one from 13 to 12, had a man of the match performance last weekend, really is looking good at this level, with Billy Proctor, another young gun outside him. So really young centre partnership there. On the wings, Wes Hewson, Vince Arso, and Geordie Barrett is the fullback. No mention of Van Wyck. We know he was cited, but I've not seen any announcement of what the outcome of his citing was. So it looks like he probably is serving a ban, and unfortunately will not get, and has now played his last game for the Hurricanes before he moves overseas. So that's the sort of with Raisi and Tia on the bench in the 22 and 23 jerseys. That looks like Geordie Barrett is the backup to Jackson Garden Bishop in that 10 jersey. Alex is going Hurricanes by 2 in this one. And you've got to remember, the only 2 teams that the Highlanders have beaten so far in this competition have been the Chiefs. So for all that they were looking promising and much better than they were pre-lockdown, they've not been able to put those results together. I'm going for the Hurricanes by 3. I'm on the same page as Alex there, just 1 point out. Thank you, Alex. That update, apparently it's a 3-game ban for Van Wyck, which is why we won't be seeing him play for the Hurricanes in this one. Be Strong joining us has asked me what my prediction is for the Force versus the Tars, and I'm going for the Tars by 10. I'm sorry if I didn't announce that. I didn't mention that earlier during my preview of that game. So yes, I'm back in the Waratahs to go back to produce another good performance and beat the Western Force by 10 points there. The weekend finishes off then with the Reds versus the Rebels over in Australia. Again, that's 7:50. 7:15 on Saturday. 9:15 on Saturday, New Zealand time. That one is kicking off, and again, settled sides on the whole for the Reds. John Pataya coming back in, which is good to see on the wing. Bryce Hegarty there, and Fluke on the bench. Jock Campbell will be at fullback rather than Hegarty. Good to see Pataya back, and really it's an exciting back line, isn't it? James O'Connor with Hamish Stewart, so those 2 ball playing 10 and 12 there, and then you got Paisami, Pataya, Dogunu, and Jock Campbell in the kind of the more attacking flair players outside, or the attacking players outside of that. So really looking forward to how this Reds team bounced back from that loss against the Waratahs last weekend. Really trying to claim that second place, because they're coming up against the Rebels, who are their competitors for that. I personally see the Rebels as probably being the second best team in Australia. I know that Cornflake, or Steve from the Deep South, has the Reds down as his second best team. So look, these two are close to each other. The Rebels continuing with having Matt Tomoa at 12 rather than at 10. I think it's a good idea, and playing Andrew Deegan at 10, playing a natural fly half, and playing Tomoa in what I would say is more his natural position at 12 there. Still missing Dame Helen Petty, so Reece Hodge, the try-scoring machine. I know that's not kind of the image you get of him, but he is. He has an amazing try-scoring strike rate, and will be able to inject himself from fullback with Korobesi and Kellaway on the wings, and Campbell Magnay finishing off those the back line outside at centre. Up front, Isan Nasarani again will do a lot of the carrying for them. You've got to imagine with Kemene and Wilkin as his back row partners. Philip and Hosea are the locks, and up front, or Ulesi and Fama Usili there. One of the interesting players on the bench, Charles Abel, the brother of Robbie Abel, will be on the bench. So following in his brother's footsteps, playing for the Rebels. So good luck for him there, and in that one. And it's looking forward to that game also on Sunday. Alex is going for the Reds on by 5. Myself, I'm going to back the Rebels on this one. I'm backing them by 3. I do see them as being the second best team in Super Rugby AU. I think that balance, putting Matt Tamua at 12, is much better. So good luck to. I think this. I say this thing is a tie of the round, and could be a cracking game. As always with the Australian games, sometimes not the highest quality, but let's hope it's a dry game to get the best out of both these sides. But I think it's going to be tight, and I think the drama around it is going to be very cool. As Nocturnal Right says, that it feels a little bit odd for talking about the rugby with what's going on over here in New Zealand. Yes, it does feel strange. There has been a lot going on, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of nervousness, a lot of anxiety, people. But please, everyone, stay safe, look after yourself, be kind to yourself, and be kind to others as well. And do enjoy the rugby this weekend that's on the TV. There is also some club rugby still happening around the country. I will probably be at the Tairua game this weekend when we have the in the Thames Valley reserves competition. So yes, I'm taking a weekend off as part of all of this to. And I think I suggest a lot of people take a breather and do take time to look after yourselves, people. As Aaron said, yes, Blues versus Crusaders. It's the yes, COVID-19 wins that one, coming in from a late entrant into that competition. Look, it's a real shame that we are missing that game, but folks, there are bigger things than rugby, and we've got to kind of keep that in mind. Thank you, everybody who has supported the channel. Do please give this a like and give it a share, and help grow the channel. It does mean the absolute world to me, your support. So yeah, why we kind of keep on doing this. So thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend. Enjoy your rugby and stay safe.